This destroys the Boxster, but not in a way you might think. I am scared to drive this car because this is the last of a dying breed.
I don't mean open-top sports cars, because the future of them looks safe even in an electrified world.
I mean 6-cylinder rear-wheel drive manual BMWs. I want this to be perfect, but what if they've messed it up? What if they fluffed the final manual BMW?
I'll get on with it. It's not like it's going to shift itself.
Can you just give me a second to explain to the viewers why this is such a significant thing? I mean, look, this is a open-top BMW with a 6-cylinder engine, rear-wheel drive, and a manual gear knob. And let me just say, that's the loveliest knob I've seen in a while. But this isn't just a knob job, this is a full upgrade. I mean, they call it the Z4 Handschalter, which means manual in German. And for that, you get a unique shade of frozen deep green paint. You also get new cognac leather interior. And also, you get some badges that we've not seen on a Z4 before, or BMW actually, I think, because they are black with a silver outline, both here and also on the rear of the car. Of course, this isn't just a cosmetic job either. No, you also get some juicy technical upgrades as well. Like up here, we've got these shouty red M calipers, and you also get Pilot Super Sport rubber wrapped around 19-inch front alloy wheels. So it's business at this end, but it's party at the back, because here we've got 20-inch alloy wheels. So the Super Sports are 285 millimeters wide. And it goes further than that, because we've also got, specific to this manual car, a retuned M differential and also retuned traction control. Plus, we've also saved 15 kilograms overall versus the automatic Z4. So it should handle better and it should be faster. I mean, technically, this is supposed to be a 1/10 of a second slower to 62, but you wouldn't notice it, not least because having a manual gearbox to play with, one that's mated to such an exotic feeling 6-cylinder engine, well, you just don't care, nor does it feel it. It actually feels quicker. And don't forget, this is a manual 6-cylinder car, and in this world, if you think of a Porsche Boxster, well, you've got to pay 13 grand more to get yourself in a flat 6 Boxster. So this feels like a bit of a bargain. And this feels like an exotic powertrain. I mean, this B58 turbo 6-cylinder is familiar from so many BMWs, but when it's in a convertible, even when the roof's up because the rain's come, you just have so much more character to play with. And then having the shift to do, having it as a responsibility for myself, means I feel so much more aware of this motor's brawniness. It has this lovely low down muscle, but heel and toe into second and put your foot down, it goes from a muscular brawn to a beautiful high-pitched song. It really feels like this motor has a whole new personality because I'm suddenly part of the orchestra. I've gone from enjoying the sounds of an orchestra to being the composer. This isn't just a BMW gearbox, because we know it from the Toyota Supra, which this car shares many parts with, and actually its whole base, and also it's been in a Jaguar F-Type. But this ZF 6-speed feels like a BMW gearbox because you've got that rubbery sensation of the shift. It's still tactile, but it's just BMW in its character, and because it's quite forgiving, it's engaging, and yet it's not difficult to use. It doesn't feel overly tough like some, more traditional feeling gearboxes, and yet it's bloody fun. The other half of the manual equation is, of course, to add an extra pedal, and so I've got this clutch pedal to the left of the brake, but now I've really noticed, and it's really accentuated this, how offset the pedals are in the Z4, because my clutch pedal is kind of where the brake pedal would be in a Porsche, so it doesn't really lend itself well, this setup, to left foot braking if you come into a complex of corners and you're staying in one gear. But what it does do is place the pedals perfectly for heel and towing. It's just a joy to blip this engine.
You can, if you want, let the car do the rev matching for you with its very good auto-blip tech, but that defeats the point of going for a manual sports car, doesn't it? I mean, the Handschalter is all about involvement, which reminds me, can you feel the car's sporty chassis changes?
Yeah, you absolutely can, because this Z4, from when it was launched in 2018, has always felt a little bit lethargic. It's felt quick, but not particularly thrilling on a road, whereas now, it feels that much more composed and that much more energetic, especially around the bends. And that's true, even on a very bumpy British B road. I've got the car set right now in its firmest mode. This is Sport Plus, also for the damping. And so when I'm going around the bends, I can feel the car is so much more composed, so much flatter, and it actually feels a little bit keener to turn. But I have to admit, it's still nowhere near the on its tippy toes thrills of a Porsche Boxster, especially a GTS with those flat six engines, because, well, it still feels a bit weighty and there's just not that much communication coming through the steering. The steering is good and the car feels nice and gripped up, especially on the rear axle, but yeah, I'm just not getting those fingertip sensations. But on a slippery day like today in the UK, having that front engine balance, having the weight over the nose, having those really chunky, grippy rear tyres, and having a near perfect 50-50 weight distribution, helped in no small part by these changes, well, it means you can press on and cover ground much more confidently. And dare I say it, for a year-round sports car, when it comes to rear-wheel drive, six-cylinder manual sports cars, this Z4 Handschalter might actually be the preferable choice for some people.
And that'll be doubly true if you prefer your sports cars a little less focused, because this smooth-riding Z4, with its leggy gear ratios and plentiful supplies of torque, feels more like a Grand Tourer than the racier Boxster 4-litre.
And then you look on the spec sheet and realise this is way more fuel efficient as well, because this B58 turbo six-cylinder, it gets 32 miles per gallon combined, whereas the Boxster GTS, that's just 26. So you're going to get far fewer visits to the fuel pump and you're going to feel more relaxed when you do it. And that Grand Tourer feel actually carries into the interior. It always has with a Z4, because you've always had lots of space, lots of storage room. It's a comfortable place to sit, and you even get a ski hatch to a very generously sized boot. That's something you don't get on a mid-engine car. Plus, this has the finishing feature that is always missed in a Z4, and that is that beautiful gear knob. It looks perfect and it just completes this whole cabin. But it's not the only knob to celebrate in the interior. No, there are a couple more. For example, you've got a volume knob here because this has a good mix of analog and digital, but you've also got the iDrive, which BMW is gradually getting rid of from its new cars. BMW, please bring this back because it works so efficiently. It's so much better to use, and even though we do have digital things here, we've got two screens, they're nice and intuitive to use. This is a touchscreen if you want it to be, but I much prefer to use this down here. And yeah, the setup has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wirelessly, but what's mattering most in this car is that I've got buttons and digital with a perfect user experience. It is optimum and easy to use on the go. You know, well, the more I think about it, we shouldn't be comparing this Handschalter Z4 with the Boxster GTS because, well, that Porsche does the sporty thing way better. But what it can't do is all that Grand Tourer stuff we discussed. So much so, in fact, that I think this Handschalter actually feels like the middle ground between a Mazda MX-5 and its sporty, engaging drive with a manual gearbox, and the luxury and comfort and the brawniness of a Bentley Continental GT convertible. Because this is engaging and comfortable and easy to live with. And if there's one thing we've learned today, it's BMW. You should be keeping this thing alive for much longer in cars like this.
Although it's good to know the future of open-top sports cars is safe, as evidenced by the very powerful MG Cyberster you see here. It doesn't have a manual gearbox, but it does have another talent to make up for it.